She expected anger when the truth came out that night, but I stayed silent instead. That calm reaction didn't end the problem. It delayed it, and the consequences that followed arrived slowly, deliberately, and far worse than she imagined. I know you've been reading my messages. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. My wife stood in the kitchen doorway, phone clutched in her hand, eyes searching mine for the explosion she expected. I just nodded and turned back to the dishes. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that precedes something irreversible. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. We were both 32, married for 6 years, no kids yet, because we'd agreed to wait until we felt ready. That readiness now felt like a distant joke. That's it. Her voice cracked slightly. You're not going to say anything? I placed the plate in the drying rack with deliberate care. What would you like me to say, Claire? She flinched at her own name. I don't know. Yell? Throw something? Ask me who he is. Would any of that change what you've done? The water continued running. I could see her reflection in the window above the sink, distorted and wavering. She looked smaller somehow. How long have you known? She asked. Does it matter? It matters to me. I turned off the faucet and faced her. 3 weeks. Her face went pale. 3 weeks. And you didn't. Why didn't you? Confront you? Make a scene? Pack your bags. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. I wanted to see what you'd do. That's cruel. Is it? She set her phone down on the kitchen table, her hands shaking. I was going to tell you. When? I don't know. Soon. I was trying to find the right time. There's never a right time to destroy someone's life, Claire. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't hit you all at once. It's not like in the movies where someone discovers an affair and immediately falls apart. Real betrayal is slower. It seeps into your bones like cold water, degree by degree, until one day you realize you're frozen solid. I'd found the messages by accident. Her laptop had been open on the coffee table, a notification popping up while I walked past. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. And once you see certain words, certain promises made to someone else, you can't unsee them. His name is David, she said quietly, unprompted. I didn't ask. I know, but I'm telling you. She pulled out a chair and sat down heavily. We worked together. It started 4 months ago. For months. 120 days, give or take. Are you in love with him? The question surprised even me. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I walked to the fridge and pulled out a beer. Twisted the cap off. Took a long drink. You know what the worst part is? I said. She waited. I kept thinking there must be something wrong with me. That I wasn't paying enough attention. That I'd somehow failed you. You didn't fail me. Then why? Because, she stopped. Searched for words. Because he made me feel seen. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I see you every day, Claire. I've seen you for 6 years. That's not what I mean. Then explain it to me like I'm stupid. She wiped at her eyes. You see the version of me you married. The person I was when we met. But I've changed. I've grown. And you haven't noticed. So this is my fault. No. God, no. I'm not trying to blame you. She stood up, took a step toward me. I didn't move. I made a choice, she continued. A terrible choice. And I own that. But you asked why, and I'm trying to be honest. Honest. Right. The word tasted bitter. You've been lying to me for 4 months, but now you want credit for honesty? I never wanted to hurt you. And yet, she flinched again. The tears were flowing freely now, but I felt nothing. That should have scared me, that absence of feeling. Instead, it felt like relief. What happens now? She asked. I don't know. Do you want me to leave? Do you want to leave? I asked you first. I set the beer down. 3 weeks ago, when I first found out, I would have said yes. Pack your things and go. But I didn't say that. I kept quiet. I watched you. I studied you. That's disturbing? Probably. But I learned something. She waited, looking almost afraid. I learned that you're very good at compartmentalizing. You'd come home from work, from him, and you'd kiss me like nothing was wrong. You'd ask about my day. You'd laugh at my jokes. And I started to wonder if anything between us was ever real. Of course it was real. Was it? Or was I just convenient? The stable choice while you figured out what you really wanted. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Claire. The kitchen felt too small suddenly. I walked past her into the living room. She followed. So what did you decide? She asked. During these 3 weeks? I sat on the couch, the same couch where I'd first seen those messages. I decided to wait. For what? For you to be honest with me without being forced into it. She sat across from me in the armchair. You were testing me. I was giving you a chance. And I failed. You would have kept going, wouldn't you? If I hadn't said something tonight. She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was barely a whisper. I don't know. Maybe. I was scared. Of what? Of losing you. Of losing everything we built. You should have thought of that before. The silence returned. Outside, I could hear neighbors talking, a dog barking, the sound of a car driving past. Normal life continuing while ours crumbled. I need to know something, I said. She looked up. Did you sleep with him? Her face answered before her mouth did. Yes. One word. 3 letters. A lifetime of trust evaporated. I felt myself go very still. That coldness I mentioned earlier, the seeping kind, now flooded through me completely. How many times? Does it matter? Answer the question. I don't know. Maybe 15? 20. 20 times. 20 separate decisions to betray me. 20 moments where she could have stopped and didn't. In our bed. No. Never. I would never. Oh, you have standards. How noble. Please don't do this. Do what? React? You wanted a reaction earlier. I stood up, paced to the window, looked out at the street, at the houses full of people probably dealing with their own problems. You need to leave, I said. Right now? Right now. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Hotel. Friend's house. His place. Anywhere but here. She started crying harder. Please. Can we just talk about this? We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. You broke it. Completely. I love you. I turned to face her. No, you don't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You love the security I gave you. The comfort. But you don't love me. That's not true. Then prove it. Tell me right now that you'll never see him again. That you'll quit your job. That you'll do whatever it takes. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. The hesitation told me everything. That's what I thought, I said. She stood up slowly. I'll pack a bag. Take your time. I'm going for a walk. I grabbed my jacket and keys. Wait, she called after me. I stopped at the door. I really am sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry there are consequences. But you're not sorry enough to have stopped on your own. And I left. The night air was cold against my face. I walked without direction, just letting my feet carry me through the neighborhood. Past the park where we used to have picnics. Past the coffee shop where we'd spent Sunday mornings. Past the intersection where I'd proposed. Everything was tainted now. Every memory had a shadow across it. I wondered how long she'd been unhappy. Had it started before David? Or had he been a symptom of something already broken? My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. I'm staying at Monica's. We need to talk tomorrow. Please. I didn't respond. Instead, I kept walking until I found myself at a bar. Not our bar. A different one. Somewhere with no memories attached. I ordered whiskey and sat in a corner booth. The bartender didn't make small talk, which I appreciated. Around me, people laughed and flirted and lived their lives. I felt separate from all of it, like I was watching through glass. My phone buzzed again. This time, a message from an unknown number. This is David. Claire gave me your number. I think we should talk. The audacity. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I blocked the number. Whatever he wanted to say, I didn't need to hear it. He wasn't the problem. He was just the match. Claire was the one who'd piled up the kindling and doused it in gasoline. I finished my drink. Ordered another. Thought about the last 6 years. Had I missed signs? Had there been moments where I could have prevented this? Then I stopped myself. That way led to madness. You can't prevent someone from making choices. You can only control your own response. And my response was going to be measured, deliberate, and final. I went home around midnight. The house was dark and quiet. Claire's car was gone from the driveway. I walked through the rooms, seeing them differently now. The living room where we'd argued. The kitchen where she'd confessed. The bedroom we'd shared. Everything felt contaminated. I grabbed a pillow and blanket and slept on the couch. Or tried to sleep. Mostly I stared at the ceiling. Morning came gray and cold. I made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. Opened my laptop. Searched for divorce lawyers. The first consultation was available that afternoon. I booked it. Then I called my boss and took a personal day. There were things that needed to be done, and I wanted to do them methodically. No emotion. Just procedure. Around 10, Claire texted. Can I come by to get some things? When? Now. Give me an hour. I spent that hour documenting. I took screenshots of our bank accounts. made copies of important documents, changed passwords on our shared accounts, downloaded our text message history. When she arrived, I was ready. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept. Good. I'll wait in the living room while you pack, I said. Can we talk first? There's nothing to talk about. Please. Just 5 minutes. I checked my watch. 5 minutes. Starting now. She sat on the edge of the couch. I remained standing. I ended it, she said. With David. It's over. Okay. That's all you have to say? What else is there? You want congratulations for doing the bare minimum. I'm trying to fix this. You can't fix this, Claire. Why not? People get past affairs. We can go to counseling. We can work through it. I shook my head. It's not just the affair. It's the lying. The manipulation. The fact that you would have kept going if I hadn't confronted you. You don't know that. Don't I? She buried her face in her hands. I made a mistake. 20 mistakes. Minimum. Why are you being so cruel? I'm being honest. You should try it sometime. She looked up, anger flashing in her eyes. You're enjoying this. You're enjoying watching me suffer. I'm not enjoying anything. I'm just done pretending. Pretending what? That we can come back from this. That I can ever trust you again. So that's it. 6 years down the drain. You drained them. Not me. She stood up abruptly. You're not perfect either, you know. You're cold. You're distant. You never talk about your feelings. And that justifies cheating? No, but it explains it. I felt that coldness harden into something sharper. Get your things and leave. Your 5 minutes are up. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she went upstairs. I heard her moving around in the bedroom, opening drawers, closet doors. She came down 20 minutes later with 2 suitcases. I'll come back for the rest. I'll have it boxed up. You can arrange pickup. This is really how you want to do this. This is how it has to be done. She wheeled the suitcases to the door, paused. I hope someday you can forgive me. I hope someday you can forgive yourself. She left without another word. I stood in the empty house. The silence was different now. Not heavy with tension, just empty. I walked to the bedroom and stripped the bed, put the sheets in the wash, opened the windows to air everything out. The lawyer appointment went smoothly. She was professional, efficient, asked the right questions. Do you have proof of the affair? She asked. I showed her the screenshots I'd taken. She nodded approvingly. This will make things simpler. No-fault divorce is an option, but if she contests anything, this is leverage. How long will it take? Depends on her cooperation. If she agrees to terms, we could have it finalized in 6 months. If she fights it, could be a year or more. I want it done as quickly as possible. Understood. I'll draft the papers. Over the next week, I fell into a routine. Work during the day, gym in the evening, meal prep for the week ahead. No drinking, no wallowing, just forward motion. Claire texted occasionally, asking how I was, suggesting we meet for coffee, hoping we could talk things through. I responded minimally or not at all. Then, 2 weeks after she moved out, she showed up at the house unannounced. I answered the door to find her standing there with red eyes. We need to talk. You should have called first. You wouldn't have answered. She was right. What do you want, Claire? I want to understand why you're being so heartless. Heartless? You won't even talk to me. You won't consider counseling. You've just shut down. I leaned against the doorframe. You know what I realized? During those 3 weeks when I knew but didn't say anything? She waited. I realized I didn't miss you. Even when you were right there next to me, lying to my face, I didn't miss you. Because the person I thought I married doesn't exist. That's not true, isn't it? The woman I married wouldn't have done this. So either you've changed, or I never really knew you. Either way, that person is gone. People make mistakes. Stop calling it a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. Cheating on your spouse for 4 months is a choice. Multiple choices. She wiped at her eyes. I can't believe you're just throwing away everything we had. I'm not throwing it away. You already did that. So there's nothing I can do? Nothing that would make you reconsider. I thought about it honestly. Tried to imagine a scenario where we came back from this. Where I could look at her without seeing betrayal. Where I could trust her word again. I couldn't. No, I said. There's nothing. Her face crumpled. I love you. You love the life we had. The comfort. The security. But you don't love me enough to have stayed faithful. That's not fair. Fair went out the window when you slept with someone else. She started crying in earnest now. Full body sobs. Part of me wanted to comfort her. Old habits. But I stayed where I was. You wanted a reaction, I said quietly. That night in the kitchen. You wanted me to yell, to break down, to give you permission to feel like the victim. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make this easier for you. What do you mean? The divorce papers will be served next week. I'm asking for a clean split. You keep your retirement accounts, I keep mine. We sell the house, divide the proceeds. No alimony. Just a clean break. You've already filed? I told you. I'm done pretending. And if I don't agree, then we do this the hard way. And trust me, Claire, you don't want that. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe we both were. I never meant for any of this to happen, she said. But it did. And now we both have to live with the consequences. I can't believe you're being so cold. I'm not being cold. I'm being realistic. We're done. Accept it. She turned and walked back to her car, got in, sat there for a moment, then drove away. I closed the door and went back inside. The papers were served the following Tuesday. She called me immediately, hysterical. You actually did it. You actually filed. I told you I would. I thought you might change your mind. I don't change my mind once it's made up. Clearly. Sign the papers, Claire. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. And if I refuse, then my lawyer will make your life very difficult. We have evidence of the affair. We have your admission. Do you really want this dragged through court? Silence. Then, you've thought of everything. I had 3 weeks to plan. She hung up. 2 days later, her lawyer contacted mine. She would agree to the terms with one condition. She wanted some of the furniture. Specific pieces that had belonged to her grandmother. Fine. I didn't care about furniture. The house sold quickly. Real estate market was hot, and it was a good property. We split the proceeds exactly down the middle. The whole process took 4 months. During that time, I saw Claire once more. At the final walkthrough of the house, before closing. She looked thinner, older somehow. You doing okay? I asked, more out of habit than genuine concern. Does it matter? Not really. Just being polite. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. You've changed. So have you. I guess we both have. We stood in the empty living room, footsteps echoing. Do you ever wonder what if, she asked. What if what? What if I hadn't done it? What if I told you I was unhappy before it got to this point? I considered the question. Honestly, I think we would have ended up here eventually anyway. We grew into different people. The affair just accelerated the timeline. That's depressing. It's honest. She nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. Not just for getting caught. For all of it. I believe you. Do you forgive me? I looked at her, really looked at her. Tried to find some remnant of the anger, the hurt, the betrayal. But all I felt was tired. I don't forgive you, but I don't hate you either. I just nothing. And maybe that's worse. She flinched. Yeah, maybe it is. We finished the walkthrough in silence. Signed the final papers. Walked out to our separate cars. Take care of yourself, she said. You too. I drove away and didn't look back. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. I received the papers in the mail, signed by a judge I'd never met. 6 years of marriage reduced to legal documents. I put them in a file folder and put the folder in a box. Life continued. I moved into a smaller apartment across town. Started dating again, cautiously. Focused on work, on hobbies I'd neglected. Reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. One evening, about a year after everything ended, I ran into Claire at a grocery store. She was with someone. A man I didn't recognize. Not David. Someone new. She saw me and waved awkwardly. I nodded back. We passed each other in the cereal aisle without speaking, and I realized I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No regret. Just indifference. That night, I thought about the moment she'd confessed. I know you've been reading my messages. The fear in her eyes when I didn't react. She'd expected anger because anger would have meant I still cared enough to fight. But I didn't fight. I just withdrew. And that silence, that calm, ended up being the most devastating response I could have given. Because there was no dramatic blow-up to blame. No screaming match she could point to. Just cold, deliberate consequences. The slow, systematic dismantling of everything we'd built. People asked me sometimes if I regretted how I handled it. If I wished I'd tried harder to save the marriage. The answer was always no. Because the marriage was already dead. I just hadn't known it yet. Claire made her choice when she started the affair. I made mine when I chose not to fight for something already broken. And in the end, we both got exactly what we deserved. She got her freedom to figure out what she really wanted. I got my peace. The calm wasn't kindness. It wasn't maturity. It was self-preservation. And the consequences that followed weren't revenge. They were just inevitable. Sometimes the worst thing you can do to someone isn't to rage at them. It's to stop caring entirely, to look at them and feel nothing, to walk away without a backward glance. That's what my silence gave her. Not closure, not forgiveness, just absence. And maybe, in the end, that was exactly what she needed to understand what she'd lost. Not through my words, but through my complete and total lack of them.